So it is indeed a pleasure to be here, and especially when you're amongst your own, a bunch of women. That's what I love. Uh, so I loved the theme, and in fact, before even starting, I must say a big thank you to Neha and Jobs for her for having invited me here to interact with all of you. And I just felt the theme for today is indeed so relevant, right? Start for all of you who are out of college, starry eyed, wanting to really crack the scene in the corporate place, looking for those jobs. Restart, and I did see quite a few hands going up on the restart front. And of course, all of us who want to rise in our careers. So I see myself reflected in all those career stages if I were to look back at my own life. Uh, and that's what really gives me the thrill, because today is a day of possibilities, today is a day of opportunities. And why do I say possibilities and opportunities? Because clearly, today is a day where you can really break those stereotypes which are prevalent. You can really punch above your weight. And opportunities, because this is a great forum for all of you to network, to learn, to emulate, and to really learn from others and leave your own stamp behind. So, with that, if I were to really look at this overall theme and look back at my own childhood, we often remember the women in those times as either the homemaker, or we remembered her with the profession that she had. Not that the lady who was actually working was a homemaker too, but at least what stayed in my mind was this lady actually had a job, and she was known for the professions that she did. If I look back at history, I guess history chronicles the same, because what's mentioned of women is what they have done in the public domain. So you don't hear history really talking about so and so was a good homemaker, right? So with that, I rest my case that career becomes an important cornerstone of your identity. Not to say that the rest of it is not. And I loved what Neha said, because our profile is not all about what one has achieved in the career front, but it's all about a balance. So I love the theme because it's established that careers is important, and in that same breath, one has to also establish that being that homemaker is an equally relevant role that one plays. So very often the dilemma is, how do I really balance both, right? I want the work front, at the same time I want to have a happy family. And my answer is, it is not an either or option, right? So all of you who think I want this and hence I can't have the other one, I would say you're sadly mistaken, because I truly believe that you can have it all. And it is an and option, and you got to make it work. So let's look at some ways in which, how do you really make it work then, right? So at least the 4 things that have worked for me as I have grown up in my own career would be, first and foremost, choose the right organization, right? Because all these 4 points that I'm going to tell you is all about the choices you make, right? So the choice that you make in terms of joining the right organization, and I know that there are enough and more stalls outside here today. Make that choice wisely, because end of the day, when you talk career, it is a long haul, right? It's not something that you just flitter in and flitter out of. So if it is a long haul, then you want to be part of an organization where you think you can stay for a long term. And by that token, I would definitely like to interweave that probably the choice that I made long back when I was still in college, when Wipro came into campus, was probably the best decision, or rather the best choice that I made of joining this place, because I've been here for more than 2 decades now. And all I can say is, join an organization which truly believes in inclusion, right? Because you will find a lot of organizations out there, especially today with all this excitement around diversity. You'll find a lot of organizations probably looking at it in terms of lip service and getting you the metrics in terms of numbers. My answer is that it's not sustainable. You want to join an organization which truly believes in the power of inclusion and truly has a culture that can sustain it. You want to join an organization which has a brand which you can be associated with, which you're proud of. So while I agree that all organizations exist to make money, you also want to join an organization which believes in giving back to the society, right? So join the organization where you are at peace with, you're comfortable with. You can go back home at night and you can have a sound sleep, right? It doesn't need to worry you in terms of the politics or in terms of the culture of that organization. The second one I would say is keep learning. Again, that's a choice that you have. So a lot of times I've heard students who get out of college saying, oh, my learning phase is done. I've learned for 18, 20 years of my life. Now that's it. All I want to do is make money and join a corporate. To be honest with you, I also had that same feeling. When I got out of engineering, the first thing was, forget about an MBA. Who's going to do an MBA now, right? It requires more learning. Bullshit. Let me just go and take a job. But all I can say is, once I have seen what it is in the corporate life, learning is a continuous phase. So all of you who think that you can park it and you can keep it aside, unfortunately, the answer is you have to keep learning all your life. Any stage of your life, there is a learning element to it. And the faster you can get your arms around that, the better it would be. So in fact, there's another story of a lot of women who actually go on maternity, who come back and say that, well, now that it's a 6 months maternity, I've really chilled out and not really bothered to keep abreast with technology. But guess what? When you come back after that maternity leave, technology has changed so much that you're really, really archaic in the job front. So if you really want to stay relevant, even in those periods when you're out, my suggestion is invest a few hours in that day to keep abreast with what's happening around you. And again, this is a place where Wipro has made an investment, because we realize that 6 months to 1 year, whatever is that break that women want to take, absolutely your choice. So I don't think the organization has an issue there. But is the organization also supporting the fact that I can keep myself engaged even while I'm on leave? So there's a platform which we have called Top Gear, and I think, and I really laud the technology today, because these are the kind of platforms that will enable you to not just stay relevant with what's happening, but also actually stay on some live projects. So these are kind of challenges that we post on this platform. So anybody, anywhere can actually apply to those challenges and actually make some money too, right? So because you get rewarded. If those projects are really kick-ass, then you get rewarded for it. So the point I'm trying to make is learning becomes important at whichever phase you are, be it out of campus, be it after maternity, be it at my age. You just got to keep learning. The third one would be invest in your surround. And what I mean by surround, probably it starts from the first change that Neha talked about, right? Right from marriage. So I don't know how many of you have the opportunity or had the opportunity, but clearly for me, what worked was choosing the right spouse. So it starts from there. It makes a difference, because you definitely want to choose your spouse who actually believes that your career is equally important and who will support you, because it's going to be tough, right? So I met my husband in Wipro itself, and he continues to be in Wipro. So to that extent, it helps to a large extent, because there are times when you respect each other's schedules. You will sync calendars, right, if there is travel. And until and unless the spouse is equally understanding that your career is equally important, and there are things that he might have to let go at times, or he might have to be an equal partner in sharing those household chores, life will become extremely difficult. So if you have that choice, then yes, choose the right spouse. Because with that comes a package of choosing your mother-in-law too. Because believe me, That's equally important, right? Because when I had my child, if it was not for my mother and mother-in-law who stepped in, because those days we didn't have this mandatory creche to be in office and all that, right? So you had to figure out what you do with that 3-month-old child. And there was no creche in those days willing to take a 3-month-old child. So all of them said, if your child is 18 months, then we will take her in. And who's going to look after her from 3 months to 18 months, right? So choose probably the rest of the package that comes with the spouse of a good mother-in-law who will have no problem in coming over and looking after your child till she's old enough to go into the creche. Along with that, choose wisely in terms of the network that you have. So I love forums like this because this is an opportunity for you to network, to share, to build relationships that can last. All of us have problems with men networking, right? A lot of times when I meet with senior women in my office, all they keep saying is, oh, but you know, men are good at networking and that's one great competency that we lack. And I said, who stopped you from networking? So I agree, you don't want to go to those booze bars, you don't want to go to those golf clubs. Fair enough. Find your own avenues of networking, and I would say these are great forums. These are forums where you can absolutely let down your guard. You're amongst yourselves, right? Be honest, be truthful, build those friends, because I believe that those friends are there to last, and those are the friends who will really come in handy to help you in times of needs. So like I said, when we've had issues with respect to, say, for example, syncing calendars, it's not that travel hasn't come up for both of us and we've been like completely in the dark in terms of what to do with our daughter. And that's when colleagues have stepped in, right? Colleagues have stepped in because it's an equal gesture that you do back to them when they have their times of need. So friends, family, colleagues, your maids, invest in those maids. It's okay. You're making that money, invest in it. Because if your desire is to become the super human being on earth, you're only going to stress yourself out. And in my mind, life is too short to be stressed out so much, right? So make those investments, be it in terms of that cook. So I hate cooking, and I have no qualms in telling people that my cooking sucks, and it's perfectly fine. So if the mom or mom-in-law want to have control of the kitchen, by all means, I'm more than happy to let it go, because I don't like that cooking bit. So all I'm trying to say is invest in that networks, invest in your surround, because it's not a game which you can play all alone. You need that support. You need those networks. Build it, and build it before it becomes too late. The last one I would say is in terms of investing in yourself, right? And the reason I say invest in yourself is take good care of your health. It's important. So have those regular health checks, do those exercises, do those diet plans. The reason being that if you don't, probably someone else will just pass you by and you wouldn't even know about it, right? So it's important to invest in yourself. It's important to invest in grooming yourself, because these are parameters which are important. So at the end of it all, the question is, can you really have it all, right? Or rather, if I follow all of this, then is success guaranteed? Unfortunately, the answer is no. Success is not guaranteed if you do all of this. And the reason being that it is a competitive world, right? So if you're competing, there are many others like you also out there equally working hard and competing hard. So you must realize that you are the CEO of your own career. It's a choice that you made, and it is absolutely up to you to make it a success. However, if things go wrong, go awry along the way, do you give up? Again, like I said, champion for your milestones like a general. And there are no shoulders to cry on or people to blame for things not happening, because end of the day, I believe it is your choice that you have made. So to sum it up, all I can say is, while these could be nuggets which probably will come in handy, which will help you, ultimately, it's all about being happy. So whether you have a job, you don't have a job, you've achieved, you've not achieved, I think net, it is all about being happy. Don't keep your happiness away for another day because it's just not worth it. So do something every day that keeps you happy, makes you happy. Life is too short. Enjoy it. Thank you so much.